Steve Austin isn't gay. If Steve Austin was gay, then I'm the fucking Queen of England. Even if he switched teams, I don't think he'll be with someone like The Miz. Come on, The Miz and the Texas Rattlesnake? As if. I can't imagine those two together. The Miz and A-Rod, yes. The Miz and Jomo, yes. But Stone Cold Steve Austin? In his dreams. Okay, alright. I could sort of see it. But Steve needs a man like Kurt Angle or The Rock. The Miz is just a kid. Mike wandered backstage. He heard it all, but ignored the stares and the talks. He got to his locker room. He placed his bag down and sank into the bench. He ran his hand over his gelled hair. The young blonde stared at the ring and smiled. I love you, Papa Bear. A knock came, and Mike looked to the door. He went and opened it. Hi, Mike, Alex greeted. Hi. Mike stepped aside to let his friend in. How are you holding up? I'm good. It's only been 2 days. I know, I'm just worried about you. Mike smiled. Can I ask you a question? Sure. Alex stared at his feet. You and Steve. Mike chuckled. He pulled out his phone and showed his friend his photo gallery. Wow, Alex breathed. The older blonde nodded. 7 years? You kept this a secret for 7 years? Yeah. Why? Mike walked away from his friend. I don't want any special favors. I didn't want people to think that I was using him to further my career. I can understand that. Steve is so caring and sweet. God, I love that man. Alex hugged his friend from behind. I understand that feeling. I love my Johnny Bear. Mike nodded. I knew what I was getting into when I made the announcement. I knew people weren't going to believe me, but I don't care. Even if they make my life a living hell again, I'll have Steve by my side. Alex placed his head on Mike's shoulders. Both men stared at nothing, but each in their own world. They did not know that someone had taken a picture of them. In other wrestling news, it seems like The Miz is getting married, or is he? He claims he has been in a secret relationship for 7 years with the Texas Rattlesnake. Is this true or false? Steve smirked and turned off the radio. He walked over to the open front door and stared out. The older man wondered what Mike was going through, and he hoped he was faring well. He did not want his lover to suffer or feel guilt. He felt pride that his lover came out about them. He wanted them to be known for years, but kept to Mike's wishes. All Steve wanted to do was to be with Mike. First he needed to find someone to care for the cabin while he was gone. He was glad that a young woman from the previous keeper's family was interested in taking up the job. Steve Austin, on the front porch, he smiled. Steve waited on the front porch. He smiled when he saw a black truck coming toward him. Steve rubbed his hands together. The truck pulled to a stop beside his, and both doors opened. The smile fell from his face when he saw the cowboy stepping out of the driver's side. Mr. Austin, a young brunette woman called. That's me, Steve said. Hi, I'm Rebecca. This is my brother Sammy, she replied. Steve nodded to them. The cowboy smiled broadly. You have a nice home here, sir, Rebecca complimented. Thank you, Steve said. Come in, I'll give you a tour. They nodded and walked in. Steve gave them a tour. He told her where to find the cleaning supplies, how the generator worked, how much gas it took. He liked these things kept, how he valued his privacy most of all. Rebecca took it all in stride and promised to do her best. The roar of a motorcycle caught Steve's attention. He excused himself and went to the front porch. He smiled when he saw the man pull up. He shook his head as the biker parked his ride and stood up. Steve waited until his guest took off his helmet. So what can I do for the dead man? Mark stared at his friend, face expressionless. Mr. Austin, Rebecca called, we'll be leaving now. Sure, thank you for everything, Steve said. He handed her a spare key. Steve and Mark watched as the siblings drove off. It did not go unnoticed by Mark that Sammy was checking Steve out. Come on in, Mark, the rattlesnake said as he entered his cabin. Can I get you a beer? Mark followed his friend in. You know why I'm here. Steve stopped and turned to him. Enlighten me, dead man. There's this nasty little rumor that's running rampant about you and a certain little boy, The Miz. According to him, you two have been in a relationship for going on 7 years, and you're getting married. Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I find this to be a little hard to believe, since you're doing nothing to correct the situation. Steve beckoned for the large man to follow him into the sunroom. Mark's eyes took in the pictures of Steve and Mike. The Texas rattlesnake silently led him through the cabin and the master bedroom, where most of the photos stayed. "I would like to have that drink now," Mark said. Steve nodded and took him to the kitchen. Mark sat down into his chair at the table while Steve got them a beer. He sat opposite his friend, no words passing between them. "So, this is a prank, isn't it?" Mark asked. "No. 7 years? Yeah. That's a hell of a long time to keep a secret." It was Mark's wish. Mark nodded, not wanting to push for favors. Exactly. Good head on his shoulders. Yeah, he does. Marriage? Yup. You ready for this? Second time around? Surprisingly, yeah. I love him so, Mark. I would do anything for him. Mark nodded again. He took a long sip of his beer. "So why Miz?" The rattlesnake chuckled. "I fell in love with his eyes, then his smile, his laugh. When I got to know him, I mean, really know him, I just fell deeper in love. Yeah, I know people are wondering, why Mark, why the Miz, why not Kurt, The Rock, or JBL? Seriously? Kurt Angle, The Rock, JBL? I know, right? Wow, you're only smoking mirrors. Whoa, you're only smoking mirrors to me." Steve watched with his wide eyes as Mark answered his phone. "Hi, sweetie. No, it isn't a joke. Mark is right. Yeah, he chuckled. "You want to help him plan the wedding? Well, ask if he needs help." Okay. Love you, bye." Mark looked up at Steve. "What? How long have you been in the Dash and One been an item?" "After him and Cena." Steve nodded. "About a year. Does anyone know?" "No." "Okay, just checking. No push, no favors?" Mark nodded. They sat in silence, enjoying their beers. Glenn sat in the room reading his book. Randy sat glued to the TV, watching and waiting for updates about the Miz and his secret lover Steve Austin and their marriage. "I can't believe you're watching that," Glenn complained. "I can't believe you're not," Randy retorted. "Why would I care for gossip? Because it can be entertaining and funny. Right, the Miz and the Texas rattlesnake? Why not? You think it's true?" Randy rubbed his hands together. "To be honest, yes." Glenn faced his book down and stared at his fiancée. "Come again?" "For one thing, Mike never lies." "I give you that." "Two, Mike tends to be very private about things when it comes to his life. I could see him pulling a stunt like this." "Okay, you got me. I'll buy it. Why keep it a secret?" "Think about it. He hasn't had any help to get where he is now, has he?" The monster shook his head. "If he relied on Steve, his push would have been a lot sooner, and he would have got a lot of swag items." "Sounds fair. If they do have a relationship, why hasn't Steve said anything?" "Maybe he can. Maybe he's busy with something. Maybe—" "Whoa! You're only smoking mirrors. Whoa! You're only smoking mirrors to me." "Hold that thought," Randy said. "Hi, Codes, what's up?" "Oh, hey, I got some news for you." "Okay. Mike's telling the truth." "You serious?" "I got it from a good source. He's with Steve right as we speak." "He? Don't question it." Randy pulled his phone away from his ear to stare at it. "Did you just yell at me? And what are you gonna do about it? Anyways, you think Mike will like to help plan the wedding? Maybe a bridal shower and a bachelor party? This is exciting." Cody, Codes." Randy stared at his phone once more. Glenn laughed at his fiance's predicament. Randy sighed. "Sounds like a plan. Ask Mike. That's awesome." "Hey, I gotta go. Glenn wants to... We're going. It's gonna sound like I hung up on you, but I didn't, Cody." Randy closed his phone, looked at his fiancée, and smiled. "That boy can talk," Glenn chuckled. The Viper nodded as he slipped his phone into his pocket. "So, according to Cody's chorus, Mike is telling the truth." "Say what?" Randy nodded once more. "Mike is telling the truth." "Wow, I know, right?" Glenn looked at his fiancée. "Hey, do you want to let everyone know about our engagement?" "Hell no! I want to see how this shit plays out. I told my mom not to tell anyone but Dad after the news with Mike. She didn't even tell him yet." "Really? She wants us there. Let him and my siblings know." "Okay. Do you want to tell everyone?" "Whatever you want to do is fine with me. I'm happy to wait. Besides, with the Mike and Steve news, our news won't even be caught a blip on anyone's radar." "That's what I was thinking. Let's blow over first and then we announce ours." Glenn patted the empty spot beside him. Randy smiled and went to him. Instead of taking the spot, he straddled his fiancée and kissed him. "Whoa, you're only smoking mirrors. Whoa, you're only smoking mirrors to Steve Austin." "Don't answer it," Glenn said. "If I don't, he'll just keep calling." "Turn it off." Randy laughed and did so. Where was I? Oh, yes. One more paragraph. A few days later, Mike lay in bed, eyes closed. He wanted to just forget the day he had. He had been cornered, whispered about, stared at, pointed at, insulted and questioned. The young man sighed and turned onto his side. He wished Steve was there with him. Hell, he wished he was still at the cabin with Steve. Mark's phone rang, and he answered it. "Good evening, Mr. McMahon."
Cut the bullshit, Miss Allen. What the hell were you thinking? Why would anyone tell you that you've been buried to Stone Cold Steve Austin? Where's the hell? What the hell? John Morrison? Yeah, I can see that. Alex Riley even more so. Fix this scrub at the next Raw taping or you're fired.
The young blonde blinked several times, fighting back tears. He knew that it would be hard for everyone to understand, but we fought over the truth. Yes, Steve was not there to confirm everything, but he had a job to do at the cabin. Mark was losing the battle and tears flowed. He dialed his fiance's numbers. "Hey, hi, sunshine. Papa Bear, I need you. Baby, why are you crying? Vince called me. He told me to fix this or I'm fired." "Excuse me? He told me to fix this scrub or I'm fired." "Okay, I'll fix this, okay? Okay, when are you getting here?" "As soon as I can." "Okay, I love you. I love you too, baby. Get some sleep, okay?" "Okay, bye." "Bye." Steve sat, staring down at his beer. "I'm gonna fix this. I need to fix this." He dialed a familiar number. "Hey, Hunter. I would like to be a guest on the upcoming Raw taping." Fuck me.